Let me start just by introducing myself, Diane Zosky, and I'm the interim dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. And I want to start by just thanking all of you, certainly for taking your time to join us today on this professional development session. But I really want to thank you for choosing us at Illinois State University to start your career. And I am very hopeful to make a very long career here. I had a chance, all of you folks that are new starting this year, and many of you on this call are new this year. Jordan, you're a veteran, you've got a year under your belt already. But I got to meet all of you when you were interviewing with us, and I know that each of you are incredibly talented people, and you likely had a lot of choices about where to spend your career. And so we're very grateful, and we're honored that you're going to do that here at ISU. So, in terms of, where you're at here, I know you're getting acclimated to your department. You're moving or soon to move, Lisa, as you, soon to move here, and just kind of getting established and getting your footing. And in addition to getting acclimated to your department is situated within the College of Arts and Sciences. And so we wanted to introduce ourselves to you as well, because we see our most important role in the college, well, one of the most important role, probably serving students is the most important, but quite a close second to that is really partnering with you and your chair and your department for your success here in terms of your career. So we certainly wanted to take time to just introduce ourselves and how we can do that for you. But before we go into that, it might be helpful if we could introduce, sorry, we have energy efficient lights here that go out unless we move. I'd like to introduce, because there's a lot of you on this Zoom who are starting your first year here. And it might, and normally we would of course be doing this in person. And normally there would be a lot of personal opportunities to get to know each other and begin to build community. It's a little bit more challenging now, but it might be nice to kind of introduce a little bit. And to manage that on Zoom, maybe it's easiest if I just go around the box and call out your name and ask if you could introduce. And I'm going to start actually up in my box is Denise Masters. Denise, just who you are and what's your role here?
I am Denise Masters, like she said. I work in the College of Arts and Sciences as the office administrator. I actually just started here myself in mid-June. So,
yeah. So several of the associate deans are going to talk a little bit more in depth about what they do in terms of serving the college. But if you come physically over to our office, Denise is the very friendly, warm reception you will receive in our office. So. Mike, you're kind of next in my squares.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
Hello.
I'm Mike Virgilio, I'm the director of CAS IT. I've been at ISU for a little over 13 years now, so I don't feel like a new person by any means.
Yeah. Mike will tell us a little bit more about what he does when we get into the meat of our discussion. Jason, I have you up next.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Cieslik. I am associate professor in the Department of Politics and Government, specifically legal studies.
Well, and Jason, you just joined us this year.
I did. This is my third week, so
yeah.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah. And Jordan.
Hi there, Jordan Orianis. I am an assistant professor in developmental psychology. As Diane said, this is my second year, so I'm a little bit not as new. But still
yeah. You're the silverback, as we would say in the anthropology world, right? The veteran. Joe?
I'm Joe Blaney. I'm Associate Dean for Research Facilities and Technology, and I'll tell you a little more about me later.
Yeah.
And I'm Debbie Fox. I sent most of you an email last week or last month now and subscribed you to CAS News. I'm the Assistant Dean for External Relations in the college office.
Sally?
Hi, I'm Sally Perry. I am the Associate Dean for Academic Programs and Student Affairs and a Professor of English.
Lisa? Lisa?
Hello. So I am Lise Comte. I am soon to be an associate professor in the School of Biological Sciences. So as Diane mentioned, I'm going to start only in January. So I still haven't started, but I'm really excited to do so.
Thanks, Lise. Melissa?
I'm Melissa Heil. I'm a new assistant professor in geography.
Tony?
I am Tony Kruba. I'm the acting associate dean for budget, planning, and personnel, faculty member in the history department, and former chair of history.
Shenjian?
Hi, my name is Shengtian Wu. A new assistant professor at the school psych program at the Department of Psychology.
Intan?
Hi, I'm Intan Sawandi. I'm also new assistant professor in sociology and anthropology department. I just moved from Eugene, Oregon.
Great, great. Bhaskar?
Hi, my name is Bhaskar Chidukuri, and I've just started as an assistant professor in the Department of Chemistry. Yep.
Great, thank you. Shanna?
Hey everyone, I'm not as new to CAS. I'll be celebrating 2 years next month, actually. Time flies. So I'm over in chemistry as well as an academic advisor, and I'll go ahead and introduce Shayla too. Some of you might have caught this when you were joining, but I'll be headed off on maternity leave soon, and she is graciously covering for me as part of her practicum experience. So we're excited to have her.
And Shayla, thank you for being willing to step in this way. We'll take very good care of you, okay?
Thank you so much.
Nathan?
Hello, I'm Nathan Stevens. I am assistant professor in the School of Social Work.
And I think I got everybody. Is there anybody here that I missed? I think I got everybody, right? Okay. Well, before we have each of our associate and assistant deans introduce their role here and how they can serve you and partner with you, I want to give you just kind of an overview of the College of Arts and Sciences, just a little bit of background about the college that you are situated in. And I would start, first of all, by saying that the College of Arts and Sciences, we are the heart and soul of the university. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Okay. And we laugh a little bit about that in our college. Let me tell you why we're so proud of that. We have 16 departments, and then we have 3 interdisciplinary programs of women and gender studies, African American studies, and Latin American Latino studies. And so we have, numerous majors and numerous minors that you all participate in. But in addition to that, we're a little bit special in arts and sciences in that we deliver 85% of the gen ed courses, and we deliver many other service-oriented courses. So, Lise, for you in biology, we have a number of biology courses that exist to serve, and some sections that serve nursing majors, right? We have a number of courses that are in our departments, but they serve the College of Education, right? So we are very proud to say that in addition to being the largest college in the university, most number of students, most number of faculty, most number of majors and programs, we touch literally every student who walks through here, because unless they're transferring, they don't take any gen ed courses, they have to have their first, essentially almost 2 years of preparation in our programs and our courses. So we're really quite proud of that. We're the largest college and by that nature, the most diverse college as well. So we're divided into 3 divisions. So we have the Division of Natural Sciences and Mathematics, the Division of Social Sciences, and the Division of the Humanities. So that's a little bit about the structure of how we're, kind of connected in the context that you're working in and where your home is. So I'd like to just ask each of our associate deans to talk a little bit about the area that they serve, because if you're going through your work and your business and there's some way, a question you have and there's some way that you need some help with something, you might want to target who you're going to ask in terms of the areas that they cover. Let me start with Tony Kruba, if I can.
Okay, good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to ISU. I hope you have a long and wonderful, rewarding career here. I started in 2000, wasn't sure I would be here that long, but lo and behold, it's been a great place to work and to live, and I hope you have a similar experience. We haven't met, but I feel like I know you because I've handled your offer letters, actually for the College of Arts and Sciences. I've dealt with your startup funds. That comes from my jurisdiction and so forth. So like I said, I feel like I know you a little bit and I've seen your CVs, and it's nice to see faces associated with names. As you could probably surmise from my title of Associate Dean for Budget, Personnel, and Planning, I tend to work with chairs and directors most directly with financial matters and personnel matters, but there are a couple of ways that I can be a resource to you, and I'll mention those fairly briefly here. First of all, just let me, since I mentioned startup funds, let me remind you that those tend to be given out in a fiscal year. They need to be expended in a fiscal year, okay? So if you've got a startup package, talk to your chair or director, have a plan for how you intend to use those funds so you don't forget about them and so they don't go away. Now, it might be impossible to spend your money this year because of COVID. In those circumstances, we should be able to carry over those funds for you, but mostly startup funds are use them or lose them. And so be aware of them, go back to your offer letter, see what was promised, and then devise a fiscal year plan with your chair or director. Starting to sound like an administrator because we talk in fiscal years and academics don't think in terms of fiscal years, but that's July 1st through June 30th, roughly corresponding to an academic year. Okay, and the second thing about startup funds, except for the Educational Diversity Enhancement Program funds that some of you have received, you have to ask for them, okay? So those funds sit in the college office till you request them to be sent for a particular purpose, okay? So they're not in your department, they're mostly in our department, okay? The college supports your research in numerous ways. I think Joe Blaney is going to talk about most of those programs in just a couple of moments. We tend to provide most of the professional travel funding for your departments. We sent them $600 per tenure track faculty member already. That gets supplemented by departments. So just know that the college supports faculty professional travel to a significant degree, but something more specifically that you will deal directly with us for, and that pertains to international travel. So the college has a faculty international travel support program. Last year we spent $37,000 on that for to fund 50 scholars to travel internationally. We provide a stipend of up to $750 for any meritorious program. So on our college website, there's an application process. There's instructions on that, and that application will come through our college. And again, we fund all meritorious proposals in the order that they arrive. So first come, first serve. Clearly it's on hiatus because nobody can travel. There's nowhere to go in the fall. Once things pick up again in the spring, we intend to fund numerous proposals. We're not sure how many, but we've got the money ready to be dispensed if you need that travel. So be aware of that. Take a look at our website and so forth, okay? If you have a sabbatical question about that, that will sort of be run through my jurisdiction here in the college office. Questions about leaves of absence, whether paid or unpaid, you can address those kinds of questions to me as well. And then because I'm in charge of, or have a personnel role in the college office, if you've got questions about the university's ASPT system, and I don't even know if ASPT makes sense to you yet, right? Appointments, salaries, promotion, and tenure. So it's really the faculty evaluation process. If you've got any questions about that, to interpret how to interpret your department's document or the university's document, you can ask me questions and so forth. Once you apply for tenure and or promotion, I'll be the person who will set up your SharePoint folder. I'll explain how to do the application. I'll work closely with you on that as well. And then if you have perchance an appeal of, say, your annual letter, an appeal of your tenure and promotion decision at the departmental level, I will be the sort of the person who manages your case for the CFSC, which is the college faculty evaluation body. So again, mostly work with chairs and directors, but those are some of the things I do here, and I'd be happy to help you in any way you think is relevant. And again, welcome and best wishes.
Thanks, Tony. And as Tony talked about, his roles, probably the one that's going to be the most immediate impact for you is really the discussion about your success over the next couple of years towards, tenure and promotion. And I'm going to make an advertisement at the end of our discussion, but we have a couple of other professional development series later on in the year that relate specifically to that you might be interested in. In the meantime, Shinjen put a question in the chats about will the recorded video upload to a certain place. I'm going to ask Denise or Mike, do you know where we would host the recording? We haven't thought about that.
We have 2 different places we can, just depending on who should be able to access it. So we can discuss those details, and then I could definitely get it available.
Okay, and then we can send an email out to everybody who was here. Actually, just send an email to everybody if they weren't able to attend today. Okay.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Good question. And after we got started and introduced, I noticed that Laura Lancaster joined us. And Laura, would you want to just introduce yourself and what your role is and what department you're in?
Sure. I am in the math department, and this meeting might not be entirely for me, but I still thought it'd be interesting to join. I am the clinical coordinator over here, so I don't teach or anything else, but I was just kind of curious what was available.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm glad you joined us, Laura. Very good. Let me go next to Joe Blaney, if possible.
Sure. Joe Blaney, Associate Dean for Research Facilities and Technology. In terms of the facilities and technology side, I work primarily with your chairs, but on the facility side, that's everything from helping to gather estimates for renovations of spaces, reviewing of space, trying to obtain space or defend space that we're in sometimes. I wish I could tell you that I was sitting down with architects and folks like that all the time. It's not the case. And given the state of our facilities, so much of my job involves finding places that have had an incident and explaining why we shouldn't have to pay for it. So, likewise with technology, Mike is director of CAS IT, so he's sort of your on the ground support, and I'm more of a person there to advocate for resources to make sure that we get to share equally or better in funding formulas for technology and computer labs and software and things like that. So in those 2 regards, I spend my days primarily saying, we're not paying for that, and that department should have to pay for that. And so that's how that goes. I work with your chairs, but research-wise, I've got a number of relevant things I want to tell you about. First of all, the University Research Grants Program, URGs is how you'll hear them referred to. And I have to preface this by saying these are for tenure line faculty only, those people who are on tenure track or are already tenured. The justification for this being that the funding formula designed and the reason for the program is to help tenure line faculty earn tenure, right? And so the funding formula is based on basically tenure line FTE, full-time equivalents. So as much as we would love for NTTs and APs to be able to participate in this, we simply can't do that. So for the new faculty, and I think the only person on the call here, Jordan, you've already had an NFIG, right? So you're going to want to pay attention when I talk about the PFIG. For the new faculty, there's something called the NFIG, the New Faculty Initiative Grant. That's $3,500. That is money that you would apply for by November 1st of this year, at which point your department will review it and decide whether or not to forward it to the college for consideration. That would be money that becomes available to you July 1st of next year. You can use that funding for salary, you can pay yourself, you can use it for expenses related to research, but The idea on that fund is to give you some money to get going on a project. And as long as your project is meritorious and what you send us looks like it has some thought that's been put into it and looks like this is something you can execute, we will fund that. That's you're pretty much guaranteed that particular grant. In rare cases, we may have to come back to you and suggest some minor revisions or clarifications on what you plan on doing. But for the most part, you can plan on having some money next July 1st. For those of you then who have already had an NFIG, and I think Jordan currently is enjoying an NFIG and will probably be applying for a PFIG to spend beginning next July. That's for people who are in year 2 through 5. And I should say this, on the NFIG, you can apply in your first or second year. The vast majority of people apply in the first year. And then years 2 through 5, you have that period of time to apply for the pre-tenure faculty initiative grant, which is an amount of $5,000. That's an increase over what we used to offer $3,500. That amount has gone up. That's $5,000. So you could look forward to that in your second year or third year, but don't let it, slip away from you. Make sure you apply for it in there. And those funds, again, salary, expenses, what have you. And then there's finally a grant program called the Faculty Research Award. And we have you don't need all this information, but we made some changes to the grant program. And by the time you're eligible for this, the program we eliminated will be so forgotten. I'll just mention this program. But after you've had the NFIG and the PFIG, you can apply for something called the Faculty Research Award. And that's $7,000. You can spend that on salary or expenses. That's sort of up to you. That's going to be a very competitive program. Although I'll say in the last year, we funded 100% of all of the meritorious proposals. The year before that, we funded virtually all of the meritorious proposals. We don't know how much we'll be able to fund this year, just based on the fact that a couple of the grant programs now will permit larger asks, and we don't know how many people will be applying. We don't know if there might be some movement from the provost's office toward reducing the fund. We have every indication that our funding amount will remain stable, but we may not receive some sort of supplemental funds that we've received in the past. In any event, after you've had the PFIG, or once you've earned tenure, you can apply for the Faculty Research Award. And the way you apply for these is through digital measures. I hope that you've heard nothing but loving conversation about digital measures. And this is a software that we use first for faculty reporting and tracking productivity and so forth, but also accountability. It's very important that you enter your data, the research that comes in, the things that you are able to do and accomplish with your NFIGs and your PFIGs and your FRAs, that you'll have to perform a task called the URG outcome report. And that'll be a very minor task. And if you receive the funds, I'll send you an email related to that. But for now, if you are interested in applying, you first year folks, for the NFIG, if you go into digital measures, you'll see a tab called workflow, and there should be a task there waiting for you called NFIG, New Faculty Initiative Grant. Jordan, you should have access to the PFIG. You can go ahead and apply for that. And in later years, you'll have access to the FRA. So you go in there, it's pretty self-explanatory once you're in. If you have any problems accessing those tasks, those application processes, contact me directly. I'll walk you through it. And listen, I'm happy to come to your office. We can do a Zoom meeting, whatever, okay? There are no stupid questions. There are sometimes stupid answers, but there are no stupid questions. I want you to feel free to ask anything there. Then the second thing that we have going on are some programs that are, the impetus is the university level. The provost offers a book subvention program for those of you who are in book disciplines and have a book coming out. Many presses now, even the most reputable ones, will charge book subvention fees, or at minimum will require you to ask for subvention fees from your university. And what's involved with that is your department commits $600. You do that, we'll commit $600, and then the university will commit $600. And we give priority for this to new faculty, folks who are pre-tenured, because we don't want you to have to incur that cost personally. And so we've got a fair amount of money set aside for this. It is limited, so it's not unlimited. And so we ask that you apply for this in a timely manner when you have an invoice from your publisher, if you need those funds. Likewise, some journals, particularly in the science, are very keen about charging page fees. And if you don't have a grant yet, or perhaps you didn't budget page fees into your NSF or NIH grant or whatever grant you've got, we have a form of funding for that. So again, your department offers $200, the college will kick in $200, and then the provost office will kick in $200. So that's the publication grants. Those are all available. The information on those are all available at research.illinoisstate.edu. So you can peruse that and take a look at that at your convenience. Finally, I just want to mention something we've been doing for a couple of years now called Fourth Friday Writing Days. And I know that I've enjoyed seeing a number of you at those. Jordan, I think we've seen you at a few of those. It's kind of a fun thing. It develops some collegiality with other faculty who are on writing deadlines. They need time to really get out of the office, get away from home. We hang out at the library. We give you breakfast, coffee. We pump you full of coffee all day. Lunch, we'll meet. Sometimes there's a little bit of programming at lunch to talk about opportunities coming up, but mostly it's conversations and accountability, us keeping each other on task. And that has been on the fourth Fridays of every month until COVID came and turned our lives upside down, right? So until we can get back together, and we hope that that's soon, until we can do that, what we're going to do is have fourth Fridays just via Zoom, and you should have received an email regarding that. I'll make sure I resend this to all new faculty. We'll get together on the fourth Friday of every month, and we'll just chat about things that we've got going on, particular opportunities for you. We'll talk about, you will tell us what you're writing, and we're going to hold each other accountable and give each other encouragement. And this will be something that we deliver in cooperation with the other colleges. The other associate deans will lead discussions sometimes. And then afterwards, the plan is to go to a local brewery, the Distill Brewery. If you haven't been there yet, I highly recommend. And the appetizers are on us and all the drinks are on you, right? Well, here's the thing. When we came up with that plan, things got even a little more persnickety here, and we went all online with the university. And at this point, we don't feel it would be responsible to be hosting a university-sponsored event out at a brewery when a lot of people, even though we're masking and being responsible, right? We're not hanging out in frat houses. Even such, you know how one picture can, be taken greatly out of context, and the optics on that could be really bad. So we will, I'll say this, a number of us are going to meet at the brewery, but this is not an ISU event. Is that perfectly clear?
Sure.
Yeah. So there's no university funds involved with that. And we'll still be meeting up there. The first of these fourth Friday meetings, pardon me, September 11th, next Friday, which is not a fourth Friday, but we didn't want to get through the whole month of September without touching base with everybody. So September 11th will be our first fourth Friday event or day. And then subsequently every month, it'll be the fourth Friday of the month. We'll have our Zoom meeting and you'll all get monthly reminders. Any questions about any of that? Okay.
You folks are all experiencing Joe as the gentleman that he is. But I want to say, his three areas, facilities, technology, and research. Imagine a dog with a bone, and he is a strong advocate for our college and for your needs. As he talks about the three areas that he works in, probably the one, perhaps the most immediately relevant to you is obviously the URGs, the research grant program. One of the things you folks, I'm sure, are getting used to is the myriad acronyms that we have at ISU. Every system has them, and these are going to be a little bit different from where you came from, but all the acronyms of URGs and PFIGs and INFIGs and FRAs and all of that. Certainly, your chairs and Joe, can help you through this process. I want to make a comment about the URGs. When I met all of you as you were interviewing with us, one of the things that we're very proud of here, and that's our balanced teacher-scholar model. We probably talked about how we expect and we're delighted that all of our faculty do both sides really well. And that's a little bit unique here, you know, it's kind of part of our signature. And so we also, okay, we like to say we don't eat our young here, right? Oh, Lise, look at that. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Speaking of young, right? We believe in supporting you, and we believe in partnering with your success. So, you know, you're probably hearing a little bit about CTLT in terms of teaching resources, but the URGs are really, I think, a good infusion of what we mean by getting you off to a jump start in terms of funded research here. So Joe talked about that. He talked about our record of funding all meritorious projects the last couple of years. I'll just say that the acceptance rate of those are incredibly high. So talk to your chair, talk to your colleagues, and put in a proposal for this fall so you can get those awards for next year, kind of jumpstart your research. So take advantage of it. Let me go to Sally Perry next.
There. As I said, I'm Sally Perry, and I'm the Associate Dean for Academic Programs and Student Affairs. And after listening to Joe and Tony, you're probably wondering what's left. Basically, I deal with two major areas. One is academic programs, and by that, anything to do with the curriculum. So at some point, for example, if you decide that you want to start a new course and you need advice on how to go about doing that, I'm the person that you would come to. I also work with our college curriculum committee, so at some point I may call on you to see if you'd be interested in serving on our curriculum committee. That committee helps to oversee curricular proposals throughout the college, and we're considered very thorough in terms of that because we want to make sure that any of our proposals are understandable to students and are helping to increase their education. Also, in terms of academic programs, I deal with program review. Every 8 years, each department has to go through basically an exercise to sort of assess how they've been doing in terms of enrollments, in terms of courses, in terms of faculty, in terms of facilities, in terms of a whole lot of things. And so it's usually a 2-year process, and it's staggered. So every year, a couple of different departments will come up for review. So I work with departments on that. I'm also the person who is the contact for the academic advisors. Shannon knows about that. Shayla, I've talked to before as well. And I have monthly meetings with our advisors because we have a very tight community for advising. One of the things that's really wonderful about ISU, and I've been here since 1988, so I think I probably have the longest tenure of anybody on the screen here, is that we're very good about talking across disciplines. Joe deals a lot with interdisciplinary programs. And one thing I'm really proud of is that if there are problems to solve, everybody is very comfortable talking, to somebody from math, somebody from English, somebody from another college altogether, because we really want to make sure that we're able to help our students in the best way that we possibly can. So our monthly meetings are part of that attempt. And we also have a listserv both for the college and for academic advisors throughout the university. And that way we're able to kind of all keep in touch with each other. And sometimes if new courses are offered, we can send out emails saying, here's a great opportunity for your students, or if there are awards or scholarships or places for students to serve on various committees, we can all be a part of that process. In kind of in connection with that, I work with both general education and IAI, the Illinois Articulation Initiative. Basically what I do is for the Illinois Articulation Initiative is a statewide general education program. So transfer students basically would be taking that course of study as opposed to our general education. So I deal with articulation there. And then for general education, what I end up doing is serving as the liaison with Amy Hurd in the Provost's office, because as Diane said, we provide about 85% of general education for all of our students. And we want to make sure that the money that we have is spent well and spent appropriately so that the most students can gain advantage from that. Also in connection with that, I serve on our Council for General Education, another great committee you might want to serve on sometime. And that is overseeing the general education program more broadly. we were starting to do some revision and possibly think about a whole new program in general education. We started that last fall, and then because of COVID, that was interrupted. I assume that in the next year or so, we will go back to that because the current general education program has been around for about 20 years with some tweaks. And, you know, every so often it's good just to rethink how it's helping our students and whether or not there's a different model that might be better. In terms of student issues, since student affairs is the other part of my job, part of it is problems. So if you have a student with a big problem, they may end up coming to see me. I deal with problems, say, connected with graduation. Sometimes the problems are different sorts of things. You know, mental health issues, other sorts of issues that you probably can't even imagine right now. In that case, I serve more as a resource, talking about, you know, things to do with counseling, things to do, say, for example, if a student is having issues and is not able to, say, get a laptop so that they're able to do their online courses, especially in this atmosphere, I can say, here's where you need to go to start the process so that we can provide laptops. Because one of the things that we've been doing, we're very conscious of the fact that students have different kinds of needs, and we want to make sure that all the students are able to do as well as they possibly can. So there's a program at the university for providing laptops and various other kinds of technological things for students to make sure that they're able to participate. So anyway, so I'm kind of a resource for that. On the good side, I also work with Debbie Fox on student awards. We have a lot of awards, and I wish we had even more than we do because we have a lot of worthy students. So one of the things that we organize are the awards every year. They're usually due at the beginning of February. And we spend probably a good month doing assessment of them and that sort of thing. But we like to be able to help as many students as we can. We also have travel awards for our students. So kind of like Tony was talking about with the faculty travel awards, we have them for students as well to go to conferences, present papers, engage in creative activities and so forth. And last couple of years, we've been spending up to $10,000. And I'm thrilled about that. And that's available to both undergraduates and graduate students. So that's a really cool thing for us to do. In terms of awards, I'm also the one who oversees faculty and staff teaching awards, which are due right around now. There are awards both at the college level and the university level for teaching, research, and service. Joe's responsible for coordinating the ones for research. I do teaching and service, and we really like to be able to celebrate those people at the university who do cool things. So there are committees made up of faculty, staff, and students who assess these, and every year we give out service and teaching awards and research awards in each of our 3 divisions. The other thing that, well, I do 2 other main things. One is connected with teacher education. Laura will be interested in this one. I serve as the liaison for the Council for Teacher Education, which represents teacher education programs throughout the university. My specialty on that is curriculum, but I also serve as the vice chair because I represent the largest college. And we do a number of things connected with student success in teaching. And that ranges from EdTPA to disposition concerns to legislative issues that might impact our students in various ways. And there's a lot going on. And right now, for example, there are a lot of exceptions being made because so many of our students are student teaching virtually as opposed to in person. And so the adjustments that we've had to make are part of our charge as well. Finally, I work on budgeting with Tony and with Carrie Weberg, and that's connected to instructional capacity budgeting. Basically what that is in addition to the courses that you all teach, there are a number of additional people who teach on the university, mostly non-tenure track people, or sometimes you might be asked to teach an overload or an extra course or something different like that. So we receive funding from the provost's office every year, and then the departments make requests depending on where their needs are. If they're a faculty member, say, has had to leave or take a leave of absence or something unexpectedly, that sort of money is how we need to best spend that to help the most people. And in addition, I also deal with funding for summer school, which which we've just sort of finished for next summer, because most people are thinking in terms of this current semester. I'm thinking in terms of the next year already. So we get a certain budget for summer school, and one of the things I do is try and figure out what's the best use of the funding for that. So it's challenging, but it's really interesting. One of the things I most enjoy about being at the college office is that I get to talk to people across disciplines, and I'm really impressed with the neat things that people do. So although I enjoy my colleagues in English, it's nice to be able to talk to people doing interesting things all over the place.
Thanks, Sally. And, as Sally talks about her many roles here in the college office, one of the things that I want to point out that might be most relevant to you as fairly new faculty coming in. Sally is, we call her the Pied Piper of the advisors. Okay, and Shanna, you can attest to this. Shyla, you'll figure this, you'll see this as well. There's two important concepts here that you folks you've already heard about. You probably heard about it on your interview, and you're going to be hearing a lot more about it. And one thing is individualized attention. It's part of our strategic plan at ISU. We really consider this part of our DNA here. It's really part of our fabric that what makes us unique and special at ISU is this concept of individualized attention to our students. It can be in the classroom, it can be in labs, but we really take a lot of pride in that. Another concept that we're doing a lot more work on is student success. And you're a part of that in the classroom and in the labs and in the research with our students, because our students are connecting with you. But the other very important person in all of our departments that they really connect with and really move us forward with the individualized attention and success are the advisors in your department. So they're an important resource for each of you. If you have, something that is perhaps an issue that has come up with a student, go to your advisors. They are, whether it's personal success or academic success, they can be your strong partner on that. So, and Sally leads our troops on that. Debbie Fox is our assistant dean. Debbie, do you want to talk about some of our stuff?
I'm Debbie Fox, and I'm the assistant dean for external relations. So what that means is I spend a lot of time thinking about the public face of our college. I'm also an alum. I started my first year here 45 years ago last week. So I did go away and teach and work at a textbook publishing company and the University of Illinois before coming back. Most of you heard from me last month when I told you that I edited our weekly electronic newsletter, Cass News. So I hope you've been seeing that every Monday morning. We also have a college Facebook page and Instagram feed. And I know a lot of your departments now have developed their own Facebook pages and Instagram feeds as well. So there's that. You've also heard from me just this week again. Normally, I also handle college events and would make sure that you were all included and invited, but we're having to postpone a lot of those. As I told you, normally we would have a fall dean's address and award ceremony, and each new faculty member would be introduced at that by his or her department chair. But we can't do that this year, so that is why I've asked you for a short video or photo, and we're going to put together a pre-recorded address and award ceremony so that we can get you introduced to the college in that way. I also spend a lot of time with our student scholarship recipients and by extension donors. So basically, if it has to do with people exterior to the university, I'm usually connected with that in some way. And I also work fairly closely with the staff in the university's media relations office and then the foundation's marketing and communications office, because it takes quite a bit of communication. They don't want 3 separate stories about a same topic. So, you know, if you have things that you're curious about or that you'd like help publicizing or that you think would be of interest across the university, let me know and we'll see what we can do to get that publicized.
Thanks, Deb. Let's go round out with Mike here, and then we'll have a little bit of time for questions.
Hi again, everyone. Mike Virgilio, I'm the director of Cass IT. I just posted a link in the Zoom chat, and I think I'm hoping for this to be just a takeaway for everyone today. You actually probably received this by email already when Cass IT first learned that you were coming to ISU. We did our onboarding process, and when we completed that onboarding process, you got an email saying that onboarding has been completed, and there was a link to this document in there. But really with that document, what I'm hoping it is basically a table of contents, if you will, for IT at ISU. So there's a lot of different IT units, dozens of them actually at ISU, and it's not your burden to try and know which IT unit does what. Cass IT, the unit that I lead, is what we call your direct support team. I like to think of it more as like your discipline specific support team. So you'll work with us on a very frequent basis, more frequent than any other IT unit here. And you've probably already worked with somebody on my staff, whether that be Jason or Tim or Eric, David, Chad. One of those names probably sounds familiar to you already. And really what Cass IT is here to do is to help enable you in all of the things that you're here to do. So the one thing that I would really love to leave an impression today is that because IT at ISU is complicated, let's say, the best way to just tell IT that you need something or something's not working is by the methods that I have here under getting IT help, second paragraph, I think it is. And pretty simple, go to ithelp.illinoisstate.edu, call 438-HELP, or you can simply just email support center or even ithelp@ILSTU or illinoisstate.edu. So ithelp@illinoisstate.edu. And then once you let us know what trouble you're experiencing, what you need, there are people here that will route it to the best appropriate unit. A lot of time it'll be my staff. So instead of me going through this whole document, I don't need to read the PowerPoint slides during the presentation. Just like to say, is there any questions or anything else that I can address specifically at this point? No? Okay. I will also type my email address in the chat here, so you're more than welcome to reach out to me at any point for really anything. I'm happy to help try and route that as well. I'll just throw the disclaimer out there that my inbox gets very full very frequently, so if you are reaching out to me directly, I would appreciate some understanding that it might be a little bit of time before I can get back to you. Good to see everybody's face, and I hope to see you in the hallways very soon.
Thanks, Mike. And I can tell you, Mike and his entire team, they really get who they're working with, and they can provide the technical support for our success and do it in a way that we get and they get us. You know, they're really a special team. So thanks, Mike. Your people do a great job. Let me just open it up for any type of a question. We've given you a lot of information. Some of this is going to be more immediately relevant to you. Some may not be relevant until you get a little bit more traction on in years down the road. But any questions for any one of us? So if I don't want to intervene too quickly, but if there aren't questions, and if there are, just pop in here. But if there aren't questions, we've got 3 weeks under our belt now. And I'm in awe of what all of our faculty have done with this semester, and particularly you folks, as you're just ramping up. I mean, you're doing new preps and you're coming into a new environment. You may have had to move. Everything is new in the midst of this very new and strange circumstance we're in. So 3 weeks under your belt, does anybody have a win to share? Like something that went really well in class, or you had an epiphany with a student or anything? You got a win?
I'm working with a couple undergrads this semester on a research project, and you know, we're just at the very beginning, but they seem enthusiastic about it, and for me it's like magic, because I've never been able to have undergrads or anybody support my research before. So I'm having a lot of fun with them, and they're really go-getters. I kind of think I have to start reining them in a little bit, actually. But that's been great. They're pushing me along. So I'm having a lot of fun with them.
Great. Intan, you unmuted. Were you going to give an example?
Yeah, sure. I think I am impressed with my students as well. There are two things, I guess. I mean, I'm teaching sociology, so it's always a little bit challenging when you teach a bunch of privileged kids about inequality. So it's good to have students who actually understand and not living in their bubbles. So that's really, really significant for what I teach. And second, I really love my grad students. I think their quality is impressive. I know that what I teach is not familiar to a lot of them, but they were able to, to really put efforts in understanding new things that they, maybe some of them find it complicated. So I'm really happy.
That's great. Those are good observations, Intan. I think a lot of people would co-sign on that. They see those same qualities. Yeah. Anybody else have any wins?
I do. Very, very similar to Intan is I'm teaching social justice with diverse populations. And I had a student who, the first day of class, he identified as being from a small town in rural, America, and he never really had diversity around him. And so it's kind of like, okay, what is this going to be? But on literally Wednesday night, he was on our class in Zoom, and he talked about struggling with critical race theory. But by the end of the class, he said that he got more of it, and what we shared as a collective, not just myself, but as a collective, he has more traction and understanding, and it's starting to make sense. And that led to a conversation where students started saying that they wanted to hear more from scholars of color and marginalized identities, and they wanted to kind of decolonize their minds and have more diversity, equity, and inclusion in terms of the discipline that they were learning. And of course, mine is social work. And when I tell you, I wanted to just cry, I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, I love you all. Because again, like Intan said, you didn't have to push your pride. You just shared the information, and they wanted more. They wanted to be effective in serving diverse clients and populations, and they really wanted to understand. And so I was really, really excited for that to be my introduction to ISU as a faculty member.
Wonderful. Amen, Nathan. Yeah. Mike, you have a win?
I do. Actually, I can't believe I forgot to say this. Joe even reminded me to say something on this, considering how much time this has taken out of my life in the last 5
I
months.
wondered if you were going to mention that, or if it was in the chat.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, there is a program that I'm extremely proud of. I think this is a huge win for ISU as a whole. And another part of it that I'm really, really proud of is reflecting a lot of what you all have said so far about our amazing students. So we've created something here called the Tech Squad Consultants. And some of you, actually probably all of you have already received an email on this, but that's a group of students that we hired to just basically help faculty work through some technology challenges. And I'll be the first to say that these students don't have all the answers, right? They were kind of thrown into this situation with a lot of us, but the real benefit with them is that they will help take some of that work off your plate to think through things, or to make little tweaks in processes and try and help figure out different approaches and things like that. And I've been getting such great feedback about this group of students particularly. The program itself, I'm just a huge fan of, just because of how it has a focus on technology, a little more than we've usually had in the past. And again, faculty support, I think in any way is probably a good thing in a lot of ways. So I am going to put another link in the chat. It's just to the CAS IT webpage. There's some info about Tech Squad Consultants right there. That program will live the rest of this semester at least. So if you still want at this point to try and get help with something, anything that's related to teaching your course online in some fashion, please lean on them. They're ready and waiting to help out with more work.
I noticed, Shinjen, I noticed you nodding, and I noticed you put an applause reaction up there. Was that about the Tech Squad Consultants?
Definitely. I think I contacted them twice. They specifically asked for what is your deadline to get it done. So at least that deadline, they were very efficient about choosing the platform to communicate with me. It was all effective, on time, spot on, takes minimum time, but at the same time, very effective. So I just want to say really, really appreciate that. And I don't know how you guys train students to be able to that flexible, that competent to be able to do that, but really impressive. Thank you so much.
Great.
I'm so glad to hear that. I want to add that I didn't do the majority of the training. It was all of our faculty here that had those students for years before me. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's very impressive. Yeah. Thank you, Shinsen. Yeah. Other comments or questions before you enjoy a beautiful long weekend? Okay, Mike. Okay, great. Joe. Yeah. I want to make one more plug. I'm holding it up here. It was sent out on email. We will keep sending it out on email, but it's about the professional development series we do here at ISU. It'll be once a month on the today's a little bit different, but typically the third Friday of the month. And I mentioned that we get a little bit farther down into the, next semester, Tony's going to run a couple of sessions about tenure and promotion and expectations for full professor, which may not affect you folks right now, but it could, it will in the future. But we're going to spend, we also have a very good one coming up next month on serving neurodiverse students. And then after that, we're going to have 3 sessions in 3 months, consecutive months, about inclusive teaching. And we're going to get that perspective from some of our senior faculty here, because we know that we could do a whole lot better. We want to learn more. We want to be evergreen and continuing to do better on serving all of our students and making sure that we do that in very inclusive ways. We're going to have some sessions on that. So I want to put a plug in for CTLT. There's always a ton of good trainings over there. You guys might know about the CRCC, the Culturally Responsive Campus Community, coming up at the end of October. You can find information about that also on the CTLT website. You'll get a lot more of that information pushed. But just rest assured that in the entire university here, including our college, we invest a great deal in your success with professional development opportunities, with supports like the URGs, with consultation like from Mike Regilio with the Tech Squad. We feel that we need to do 49% of your success, you do 51% and we'll make it, right? So let us know if you need anything. And I'm gonna say what my partner says every time I leave the house in the morning is, that's have the day you deserve, have the weekend you deserve, because you do deserve a break right now, okay? Thank you all for coming.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.